Now we invite Julio Carvalho, who will talk about parenting with love.
Julio Carvalho first encountered Spiritism when he was about 14 years old. Since then, he has become an active participant in the United States Spiritist movement, has co-founded the Spiritist Center Divine Light in Newark, New Jersey, which he coordinates with a group of friends, and has become a prolific speaker, disseminating the Spiritist message not only in the tri-state area, but also in the Union County Jail, where he works as a mental health counselor. It's a privilege to invite him and hear his message. Thank you very much.
What a joy to be here in San Diego with my close friends, as Marcelo mentioned, the Spiritist family. I'm so thankful to all of you, to God, for giving me an opportunity to be one member amongst a great team of workers. Paraphrasing the President Barack Obama, he said that I stand here on the shoulders of the giants, looking ahead on the horizon. He was referring to Rosa Parks, to Martin Luther King Jr. And I as well stand here on the shoulders of the giants who presented today in order to speak about parental love. This current reincarnation, 2 years ago, I became a father as well. And to start our talk, I would like to remember a great poet, Lebanese American poet, who wrote a book entitled The Prophet. He spent 12 years in a city, and he sees the boat that will take him back to his original city. And as he is prepared to leave, people from the city come to ask him for a last advice. Couples, businessmen, and parents as well. And one parent approached Khalil Gibran, and asked him, "Would you please talk about the children?" And he says, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. Because life goes not backwards, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the living bowls from which your children, as arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark on the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, so that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loved the arrows that flies, so he loves the bow that remains stable." It's a beautiful image to describe what is a parent's main mission: to serve as a bow which God bends you with his might, so your children will go towards the future. In other words, Your children are not your children. They are with you temporarily. And as a result, your main job as a parent, as a mother, as a father, it's not to prepare them as if they will stay with you forever, which unfortunately happens all the time. Children are raised as if they will be with the parents forever, especially Brazilian parents, which might house their children until they're 50 years old. But we have to prepare them for life and not to stay with us. And what life's required from us? Well, life requires that we work hard. Therefore, we will teach our children to work hard. That way, our love will be expressed in not what we want for our children, but what we know that our children need. Just like our Father, God works with us. God does not give you what you want. He gives you what you need. Therefore, we will treat our children giving them what they need and not what they want. So from early on, we're going to teach them to work hard. So my love will be expressed in teaching my child to clean her room, to put her toys away, to fix her bed, things that she can do to prepare her when she's a grown-up adult, where other people will not fulfill her responsibility. We will make an effort in order to prepare our children to be with other people, because we spend the rest of our lives not being by ourselves, but always in constant relationships with one another, in school, our place of job, and our social life. Therefore, as psychologists, we will stand there to observe this child. Because according to Spiritism, a child is an immortal spirit that is born with old values from their past reincarnation. And as a father, as a mother, we will watch them, we will observe them to see their negative inclinations so we can fix them early on. That's what the highly evolved spirits answered Allan Kardec in question 582. Can we consider parenthood a mission? Yes, say the spirits, a very important mission in which we will be held responsible if we don't fulfill it to our best. And this is why we go through the period of infancy, because during childhood, our personalities are easily moldable by what we teach to them. Children are living sponges. They absorb the actions of those around them. So as psychologists, we'll analyze them to see what are their old traits that they carry with them to this current reincarnation. If I see my child playing with her toys, and other children come by, and she does not want to share her toys, what is that a sign of? Selfishness. Therefore, I must correct her in order to teach her the opposite of selfishness, which is altruism. Share is care. If I see my child walking into a room, neglecting everyone, especially the adults, what is that a sign of? Arrogance. Therefore, I must teach her to acknowledge everyone in the room, teaching her humbleness. When our teachers complain that our children are not behaving properly in school, who should we side with? The children or with the teachers? And we see this a lot. Parents will side with their children, completely disregarding the teacher, when the teacher is nothing but another parent figure to our children, because our children learn from everyone, not just the parents. Humberto de Campos, he mentions a story about a father who used to complain to his mother that he did not want any teacher involved in the education of his child. And then the teacher kept complaining about his two kids. They were terrible in school. And he always sided with his children and not with the teacher. But then they became teenagers and gave him so much headache. And he finally realized that the teacher were right and not his children. But his children had their personality already developed, which is way harder now to teach them the right thing. And before he could do anything about it, his two teenager boys started stealing from him, then from the neighbors, and then they were so ashamed of themselves that they had to move to a different city. Years passed by, both parents became depressed, and one night he hears someone coming to their house, breaking into the window. He grabs a gun, and in the dark, he shoots the robber. And when he put the lights on, he realizes it's his first son. The neighbors come to congratulate him for finally killing the robber, but now his son's dead body was laying in the middle of his living room. His mother became ill and actually died of indirect suicide. So now this lonely man, knowing that he killed his own son and his wife died of despair, he no longer could hold any job. He started selling everything he had, and he became a beggar. And one day he had a small pouch of money, and he went to cross the river. And the boatman allowed him to enter. And this was nighttime. And the boatman realized that no one was looking, and he noticed the man on the boat was carrying money. He said, if I kill this man right now, I could just take his money and no one would see it. So he throws the old man out of the boat, grabs the money. But then the light of the moon shines on the boatman's face, and the father realized it was also his older son. So one he killed, and the other one killed him. All because he did not side with the teachers. He gave their kids what they wanted and not what they needed. Therefore, we have to see that they are also responsible for raising our child. And I'm very hopeful that in the U.S., there is a movement called character education. More than 20 states have passed legislation that it's an obligation to teach character in school. That's wonderful, because we read from the Spirit's book that the purpose of Spiritism is to educate, but not to develop the intellect, but to develop the morality. Isn't that a sign of the beginning of new times? Teaching character in the school system? Most parents are very concerned because when we mention the word character, it's immediately associated with values. And they believe that their children will learn religion in the school system, will learn religion traditions in the school system. And that's not what character education is all about. It's teaching integrity, respect. And the reason this law came about, it's because the alarming numbers of bullying, of teen suicide, of teen pregnancy, of teens using drugs became so intense that the government said they must do something about it to curb these negative numbers. So character education now is being taught in more than 20 states in the U.S. school system. And I'm very hopeful with that, because in order to teach someone good character, to instill values in them, it takes a whole team. As a matter of fact, Hillary Clinton wrote a book back in 1996 that it takes a community to raise a child. So the parents are involved, no question about it. They are the first source, especially the mother. But according to studies, friends have more influence in shaping your child's personality than the father. First comes the mother, then the friends, and finally the father. Isn't that something? I was very surprised when I read that, because as a parent, we must choose our children's friend very well. Otherwise, they would educate them what we wish they wouldn't. Psychologists have also, throughout the years, give attention to the subject. Unfortunately, not as much we think they should have done. B.F. Skinner, a great psychologist, stated that learning takes place through operant conditioning. The repetition of positive or negative reinforcement will shape someone's personality. But then we have Sigmund Freud by saying that the sexual development going through anal, oral, are the ways in which a child personality will be formed. Therefore, parents are extremely responsible how their children's personality are formed. Then we had Albert Bandura. This is another great psychologist who came with the experiment of the Bobo doll. Albert Bandura, he placed a plastic doll and he allowed a child to watch an adult just punching a doll. And he suddenly noticed that after the child saw the adult punching the doll, the child started to punch the doll as well. So he came with the concept of social learning. Children learn what they see. And that was a superb progress in the area of development of children's personality. Because as we become aware that children learn everything that they see, parents are very responsible to what they do next to their children. Not so much of what they say, but what they do. When I was growing up, it was commonplace for a father who used to smoke and he didn't have any matches or a lighter, he used to ask his own child to go on the stove and lit up the cigarette. What was he teaching the child from the get-go to do? To smoke. If the child was seeing him drinking, cursing, lying, he was teaching those values as well. And as we learned from the Spirit's book, not only we are responsible for our own actions, but we are also responsible for the actions we provoke on others. So if my child ended up making a bad choice in life, I will be responsible for that bad choice as well. And even if I don't know anything about Spiritism, my own consciousness will tell me that I am guilty of that. Sorry to speak about me, but these are my experiences. I run a bereavement group. A bereavement group are for people who have, quote unquote, lost someone in their family. And in this bereavement group, there are two mothers. And both mothers are suffering because their children committed suicide. One direct suicide and another one indirect suicide. The one that committed indirect suicide was a young man who were addicted to heroin. And unfortunately, heroin abuse in the East Coast is an epidemic. And this woman carries with herself the guilt for not doing the correct job. It doesn't matter how much we try to help her deal with her guilt. Her own consciousness tells her that she should have done more. Give less, but be more present in order to shape her son's personality, to train him for life and not for her. So as you have your children early on, notice their inclinations, their tendency. As a psychologist, study them and do the best that you can do to empower yourself with knowledge in how to best educate them. And one of the most efficient ways of educating them is through the gospel at home. What is the gospel at home? It's when we select one day of the week to bring the teachings of Jesus to today's standards. No rituals of any kind, simple yet very efficient. And there's a little story about this parent who was doing gospel at home. And at the end, he was trying to teach his son the value of prayer. And he said, "Son, would you please pray for us?" And the son said, "Not a problem, Father." And the son put his little hands together and said, "Dear God, please make me strong, make my father patient, make my mother kind, and make San Diego the capital of the United States." So be it. The father looked at him and said, "What a beautiful prayer, but very interesting as well. Why did you say at the end that you wish San Diego is the capital of the United States?" And he says, "Well, that's how I answered in my exam this morning." He was trying to change the world to his will. And in the gospel at home, we will teach our children, we will love them, that beyond all things, there is God's will. And the only reason we suffer in life, the only reason we go through painful moments, it's because we're trying to break unbreakable laws. Laws that were designed to take us to happiness as fast as possible. And whenever we try to delay the process, pain comes not to punish us, but to let us know this is not the right path. If our children learn that from early on, imagine how many mistakes they will avoid. Imagine the happiness that you experience by seeing your own children making the best choices in life. Because the same way a mother or father suffers for seeing their children making mistakes, they will also reap the benefits of seeing them doing the right choices. In the book No Solar, in the movie as well, Andrea Louise's mother makes a very profound statement. She says, it was very hard for her to love Andrea Louise so much, yet to understand that he was making his own negative choices. A loving mother or a loving father, when they have done their best to raise their child, and yet the out product, it's not what they wish it is. See them now as your brother or your sister in the path of life with their own free will. And the best that you can do is to pray and hope that soon they will awake. Because we all have to go through these bad moments in life. Working in the jail system for 10 years. From time to time, I get a call from a parent. And the parent wants to bail their child from the jail as soon as possible. And reason being, most of the time, it's not because they're concerned with the well-being of their child. It's because they're concerned, what would the neighbors say if they find out that my child is in jail? And by enabling the behavior, which is the opposite of love, the child goes back out again to continue with their drug addiction. It's a very sad picture. It's a wrong way of loving, and that we wish they will understand that when we refuse to listen to the word of message, which that's what a mother and a father does, pain will come to teach exactly what love has to say. And if our child has refused to listen to the message of love, we as a parent very painfully have to watch them learning the same message through pain. It's their choice. These are different expressions of love. But if you are a parent and your child is not here, they have passed away, remember, your children are not your children. There is a story of this mother who her child passed when he was 7 years old. She was so in pain that each day she prepared his school meal as if he was about to wake up and go to school. Then she waited for the bus to come and pick him up. Then late at night, she waited for the bus to return, and she ended up spending the rest of the day on the child's bed, crying, missing him so much. On the following day, the entire cycle will repeat again. Until one day, she was crying so much, and she was so tired and desperate that she fell asleep. And in that sleep, the spirits gave her an image that she could understand because she was Catholic. She saw all these little angels, children, flying with their wings, searching and seeking one another. And obviously, instinctively, she was looking for her son, and she couldn't find him. And suddenly, she saw her son walking towards her. And she runs towards her son and hugs him and says, "Sweetheart, why are you not playing with your friends?" And he says, "Mom, you have been crying so much over my passing that your tears made my wings very heavy, and that's the reason I can't fly." Love cannot be an expression of selfishness because our children are not our children. Our children are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. And while they are with us, we should give them the best of what they need to prepare them for life. That is the message that the highly evolved spirits bring to us. That's the message that Castro Alves, through a poem entitled "March On," synthesized the laws of life, giving to Chico Xavier this beautiful message of progress, because that's what life is all about. Love is helping others progress. Love is making sure that we're doing our best so people can do their best. And Castro Alves says that life is full of mysteries, encompassed of laws of beauty, which compels us to evolve. From God we emanate, multiple forms will reincarnate, longing for perfection and love. In humanity we seek the truth from many myths, yearning for peace and evolution. We cause in our path multiple lives and deaths, victims of our own disillusion. From the eternal struggle, building ourselves from the rubble, we learn ways to overcome. Despite the pain and misery, nevertheless, we grow ceaselessly from darkness to dawn. From the raindrop, a plant reached the top, triumphant at last. But the root appears to be gloom. Manure converts to perfume, transmutation at its best. The plant will be crowned with flowers all around, birds opera on their arrival. But flowers too shall pass. Their martyrdom is a blast for the ground's revival. From nature we are taught, work hard, that's the law. All life is a movement. Sculpting through sacrifices, we'll carve blocks of vices. Inside a stone lies a monument. Lessons from suffering and pain, change will always remain. Even narrows, slaves without sin, under the law of reincarnation, through trials and expiations, they too will be messengers of peace. Let no one be idle. Today's angel was yesterday's Adam. Perfection is everyone's destiny. God's purpose, splendid. Life's superb. Our destiny, the universe. From time to time, sublime beacons of light dissipates the shadows away. Their presence are felt forever in us they dwell, transforming night into day. Never in history a sacrifice, such as the one portrayed by Christ, transpired for the sake of truth. From the cross, the message is heard, forgive all, always serve, your pain I will soothe. It's Socrates and the hemlock. It's Caesar's war being fought, inflaming oppression and cruelty. It's Celine and his art, the imperialism of Bonaparte, spreading domination and cruelty. It's Dr. King's I Have a Dream, Lincoln's speeches never seen, the incarnation of renovators. It's the embodiment of humility. From the charitable Francis of Assisi, the gospel resuscitator. Blessed be the teachers who illuminate the seekers, inspiring virtues and light. Bliss is yours to conquer. And although progress is yonder, your happiness will be very bright. In the entire universe, divine heavenly verses decree, march on. A celestial love awaits. Have hope, have faith towards the infinite to come. Thank you, beloved speakers. Thank you, my good friends, all the workers of the U.S. Spiritist Council. Thank you, God, for the blessing of speaking, and to you all, thank you for listening.